Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Knock Louder. This happened a few years ago. I'm a CNA who works the night shift at a hospital. I have always made sure to knock on a patient's door before going into their room. Not only out of respect for them and their privacy, but also because I do everything to make sure they are awake before I start doing vitals. There's nothing quite like having a patient start flailing and ringing when you go to put on a blood pressure cuff because you have started them out of sleep. A few years ago, I did my normal knocking on the door at a normal knocking noise level and announced myself as I came into the room, but the patient didn't wake up. I feel I should mention that this particular person was young and not hard of hearing, so a regular knock should have sufficed. My next step is to lightly touch their shoulder and announce myself. Again, this startled them awake and they went off on me that I needed to knock before coming in, but it must not have woken them. Their response was, "Well, then you need to knock louder." After they were done moaning about the knocking, they demanded some juice. I went to get what they had requested, and when I came back, I knocked on their door with what could be best described as just less than pounding. After all, they had told me to knock louder. Apparently, they didn't like that either, and they fired me. I was fine with that. They had been rude and demanding all night, so I was fine with not having to go back in their room anymore. The next story is called Don't Want It. When I was a teenager, I worked in a stationery/newsagent store that also sold lottery tickets. When you buy a multi-draw ticket and win on one of the draws before the last one, you can claim the money and the machine auto-prints a new ticket for you for the remaining draws. One day, a man comes in to check if he has won anything. For whatever reason, he has decided to laminate his ticket back to back with a shopping list. I scan his ticket and it says he has won £10. Once the scan is done, there is no going back when it is under £100. The price must be paid out. You have won £10. I just have to keep this ticket. Here's your new one. I hold out a crisp £10 note and a new ticket. No, I still need that. It has my shopping on it. I don't want a new ticket. Sorry, but I have to attach this receipt, printed by the lottery terminal, to the ticket and put it in the safe. The old ticket is no longer valid. No, give me my ticket back. Now, at this point, I'm really not paid enough to argue, so I offer him his old ticket, new ticket and winnings. Okay, here you go. No, I just want my ticket. I don't want the winnings yet. You really need to take this now. No, I don't want any of that. He is being pretty rude about the whole thing, so I comply with his request and only give him the old worthless ticket, leaving me with his £10 and a new ticket. I pop the lottery receipt in the safe as that is all I have, and I leave the money and new ticket beside the till for the rest of my shift in case he realizes his mistake, but he doesn't come back. I put the money in a charity box, so there was no way for him to get the money back. The new ticket didn't win anything else. The third story is called Did They Get It? I used to work for a high-profile luxury flower shop in a big city. One common thing we would deal with is people checking in not even an hour after the delivery time. Have the flowers been delivered? They haven't called to thank me, so clearly they haven't gotten them yet. I would explain that they have been delivered, but the person is probably busy, may not have even seen the flowers yet, and will thank them when they have time. For most people, this gets them to calm down. But there would always be the people who would not take that answer and think we are lying to them, deliver to the wrong person, etc. Usually I would just send proof of delivery to the person and get them off the phone or out of the store. But one day I decided to have some fun. I'm sorry, let's get this fixed. I think reaching out directly to ensure they got the flowers is the best solution here. I don't want to make you deal with this. Do you have a better number to reach Miss Rose directly? You only gave us her work number. Thank you, I'll give her a call. I already had Mrs. Rose's personal number though, because she was also one of my clients. I knew she really did not like us calling, because she's a busy woman, and asked us to only call her work number and only communicate with her assistants. I knew very well she was going to be angry if I called, But I also knew I could shift that anger to someone else this time. Hello, Miss Rose. I'm sorry to bother you, but Miss Orchid wanted me to double check you got the flowers she sent you. I know you asked us not to call this number, but Miss Orchid gave us this number and was very adamant that we spoke to you directly. I'm not sure exactly what followed, but given the tone that Miss Rose had as she said she will handle it from here, and given I never saw any more flower orders from Miss Orchid to Miss Rose, I think it's safe to say the conversation did not go well. The next story is called Follow the Instructions. During my high school years, my family moved into our new place and thus began the process of moving our pantry into our new basement. One of my parents bought a whole array of metal shelving from somewhere and told me to go down and assemble the first unit. I was informed that they were to be freestanding right where the box was, and not to move them because they wanted them there. Lo and behold, as I unfolded the instructions and commands reading through them before building said shelf, I noticed that they were not freestanding shelves. They were meant to be screwed into a wall, and there was even a step for that. The instructions themselves referred to them as not freestanding and warned that they should be built next to our wall and then screwed to it, or they would not hold weight. I returned to said parental unit and attempted to inform them of this, only to meet exactly what I expected. I was told I was just being lazy and trying to get out of a job. I was lying about what the instructions said, because parental unit would never have purchased the wrong thing. Besides, who would sell shelves that weren't freestanding? That'd be stupid, etc, etc. I suggested moving the shelves over to our wall for support and was told to stop being lazy and disrespectful and to go build the shelves, now, where they had been placed. Alright, so I went back down to the basement and did just that. They were flimsy as anything on their own, but they were up. Soon enough, parental unit attempts to fill them, and the shelves fail, buckling. Parental unit starts swimming me out for failing to build them properly. I replied that I had failed to build them properly because I had been ordered not to build them properly, and once again pointed out that on both the outside of the box and the instructions it said that the shelves were not freestanding. Parent replied that I don't even remember, but it was in the vein most of you would guess. Disrespectful, unable to follow directions, etc, etc. And they were going to prove it by showing me how it was done and building another set of shelves. After which they were going to charge me for the shelving I had ruined with my laziness. About an hour later there was another crash from the basement as the second set of shelves buckled. They never said another word to me about it. But a day or so later, the rest of the shelves were up and screwed into the wall as the instructions dictated, and they are still there all these years later. The last story is called Christmas Tree Compliance. I was working as a head cashier, basically low-level management for those curious, at one of the big box stores. It was December, some weeks before Christmas, and tree sales were on offer. It was approaching our closing, and as per the policy for that store, once night fell, we'd close out our garden center. Any purchases, trees included, had to go through the front. Now, since the garden center area was closed already, this meant there were no cashiers on hand. Cashiers are the people who were in charge of loading up the trees for the customers. About 15 minutes or so before the store locks the doors, this lady, whom I'll call Clueless, wheels into the store and washes up to the garden center area, rattling the chain link gates. This prompts one of the floor guys to direct her up front. Clueless needs a tree. Like, right now. The way she was acting, you'd have thought there was a golden ticket or something in that tree. Or it was announced that live Christmas trees were a limited source and there was only 1 or 2 left in the world. Johnny, the manager who was handling closing that day, dutifully rings Clueless up, and he then turns to me. Mind helping me with loading this tree? Johnny didn't need the help, but he was the kind of manager who recognized when someone needed a break from dealing with cashiers for a few minutes. I nod and tell the other head cashier that I was heading off to help with the tree and to call me over my company phone if I was needed for, well, anything really. We head out and the lady has already picked a particular tree she wanted. One of the largest we had. Johnny and I do the usual deal of trimming the tree space with a chainsaw, wrapping the tree in this funky netting that did nothing to really stop you from losing needles from it, and then instruct the customer to bring a car over and we'd put it on the roof. The customer does this, and that's where the fun begins. Johnny and I could do nothing right. It didn't matter how we suggested tying the tree to the roof rack of this customer's car. it wasn't good enough. Eventually, we get the customer to agree to a compromise. She rolls down the windows on the passenger side of her car, and we loop the nylon tie-down rope around the door and post, cinch it tight, and let her roll the windows back up. Then we headed to the other side of the car and stood there trying to sort out the best way to finish the tie-down job. Just tie it like you did the other side. That's not a good idea. I don't care, you haven't done anything right, and I need to get home. Now. Yeah, the customer is always right. Now do what I said. Johnny looks at me, I look at him, and we shrug. So the lady rolls down the driver's side windows, and we start tying the tree down. The customer chimes in at this point, saying, "And make sure it's tight, I don't want this coming off." Okay then, tight it is. We pulled that rope so tight that it was bordering on denting the door of her car. Changed everything down and put one heck of a knot to keep everything together. My old Boy Scout leader would have been proud. The customer seems satisfied, rolls up her car windows and drives off. Johnny and I watch as she heads up the lot. I look over at him and ask, "How long do you think it will take her to realize that, the way we tied that, she can get out of her car now?" Johnny just shrugs. Customer is always right. Remember? He says it with a dopey smile, and we head back inside to do the final closing. So, for those that don't get it, we didn't tie it around the doorpost. We tied it around the closed doors, through the window. Tight enough that neither the driver's side nor passenger side doors could be opened. The next day I'm doing my thing when I see Johnny and Clyde, the store manager, talking about something. Clyde is laughing so hard that he has tears streaming down his face. Johnny sees me and waves me over. That's why I get the rest of the story. The lady had called our corporate complaints line to complain about how two idiots at our store had trapped her in a car when they tied a Christmas tree to the roof of it. She didn't get their names, but thought it was something like Trevor and Sam or something. She had to call the fire department to come out and cut the rope to extricate her from the vehicle. And she was mad. She wanted those two fired for what they had done. The report came down to Clyde, who had no clue what was going on, much as who these two employees were, as there wasn't anyone who worked at the store named anything near that. Corporate had just chalked it up to an irate customer and told him not to worry about it. He was talking with Johnny about the weird complaint when Johnny relayed the story of what had really happened. I was called over to act as his witness. Clyde was beside himself. His laughter at this lady's stupidity was such. Every so often, whenever he heard a call for someone to come help with a Christmas tree sale, he'd burst into fits of laughter or giggles. No punishment came from that, as he figured that, well, we'd done exactly what the lady wanted, and had tried to warn her that it wasn't a good idea. I would see the lady in the store from time to time after that. She made a point to not look at me or scuffle off to another aisle. I suspect someone told her just how stupid she had been. That, or she was afraid I'd trap her in her car again. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.